When these things happen and you are able to hold the mind in place and avoid the distraction, the withdrawal of attention to the third eye center makes you forget this physical body. Has anybody had that experience? That you can be unconscious of the physical body if you hold yourself at the third eye center long enough. Good, good. Some of you have had that experience. When that happens, what are you left with? You are unconscious of the physical body, but you are still conscious of being able to see. Is that right? You're still conscious of being able to hear. You can still touch, taste, smell. Do you realize that even when you are not conscious of this physical body, you can do all these things? In fact, you do it every night when you have a dream. You are unconscious of this body, but you have all the other sensory consciousness. In fact, you do it when you imagine. You can imagine you are coming here to see me, touch this table, smell a rose, eat an imaginary pie, and go back and say, yes, I had all the experience in my imagination. Therefore, these sensory experiences are not based upon the physical body. They are based upon our sensory self. That part of the cover upon our consciousness and mind which creates these senses. What is that? We have given it a name, just a name, astral body. Have you heard of this name? Astral body. Astral body is not a body really. Astral body is a description of our senses operating without need of physical body. Therefore, when we lose the awareness of the physical body, the rest of our self is totally complete still. It consists of our soul, the mind, and the senses. It is still functioning, but it has some advantages and some disadvantages too. It has advantages. It can fly. You want to imagine you are in New York, it takes no time. If you want to take the physical body, you have to fly, it takes time. Maybe an hour or 2 hours, I don't know how long. If you drive, it takes even longer. But if you imagine, you go faster. And if your imagination can give you an entity and a self as real in your experience as you are experiencing the physical body, then you will go very fast. You can go in a second. You can go in a moment. What can make that imagined self or a sensory self as real as the physical self is the amount of attention you give to it. Does it surprise you? Would it surprise you that this physical body is looking your real self, feeling your real self, not because it is your real self, but because you are giving attention to this physical body and thinking this is the real self? Supposing I suggested to you, will you please imagine that you are walking through this aisle, come up, shake my hand and go back. Can you all do it? Just try. Imagine you have left your chairs and come to this table and shake my hand, I'm stretching it out, touch my hand and go back and sit in your own chair. Have you done it? Those who have done it, raise your hands. You have no problem? You came, walked and went back. You didn't hit against anybody. Yeah, it was very light. No weight problem, no calories. Did you see there was a difference? But that, you can say that was imagination. The real self of you was still sitting on the chair. Why does that happen? Because only a small percentage of your attention came on that imaginative experience. The rest of it was still scattered in the physical bodies. Supposing you raise this percentage and go more intensely and imagine more intensely that you are going, that you are not in the chair back, and concentrate upon this imaginative exercise. The moment you topple over 51% of your attention, you will be here and not on your chair. In actual experience, you will never have an experience that you left your bodies behind. You'll feel you actually moved with the body to this place. What does it mean? It means that our so-called association with the physical body, that this is real, is because of the percentage of attention we put into the body. And imagination looks imaginary because of the less percentage of attention. You put 51% or more of your attention into imagination, that becomes real, this becomes unreal. You can try it out. It's very simple. But we don't understand it because we haven't had the opportunity to do it. In meditation, we get a chance of concentrating our attention on ourselves and becoming unaware of the body and yet being awake. The important thing is when you concentrate your attention at the eye center and not at the heart center or any chakras below, you are still awake, fully awake, more awake. You have not lost awareness of what is going on. When you are fully awake and your attention is totally in control and you walk out with your senses, with your imagination, you really fly and you can go wherever you like. And you can explore the physical world as much as you can explore any other world. When I was very young, I was very small. I'm telling you personal experience. I normally don't share these personal experiences, but it is relevant because very early in my life, an old lady who was a disciple of the great master, she taught me this simple trick. She said, what do you do at night? I said, oh, I sleep and sometimes I hear some bells and I hear some sounds. I don't know what they come from and I'm interested. She said, you should fly. Fly in the sky. I said, how do you fly? She says, when you're hearing those bells and singing, just fly. So I said, that should be easy. So when I was hearing bells and the attention was all focused in on where this sound is coming from within, then I would just get up and just fly. It was so easy. And I would fly away. And she was flying too. So I began to check whether this flying is a dream-like experience or is it real flying? Because when I would stop flying and come back, it looked like I was re-entering a body. It looked like there was no difference, but this is also me. And that was also me. Which is the real me? This question came up. And I said, maybe this is the real me, because everybody that I meet most of the time is dealing with this real me, this real world, this real country, this real place. I was very young. I had never been anywhere outside my own country, never flown that far. And one day, while flying, I thought, why not fly way out? And as a child, I had read books on London and big cities. So I decided to fly to London. And I didn't know the route too well. The direction was known, but I knew there used to be planes. Small planes in those days used to hop and go to London. So I chased one of the planes. And the plane was flying and I chased it. And I went and saw the London of that time and saw the various buildings there, and I came back. It was almost, I think, 20 years later that I went in another jumbo jet in the physical body to go and see the same buildings and the same places. But one building was missing. And I said, I sure made some mistake somewhere. And I checked up and found the building had been demolished 5 years earlier. This was such a strange experience for me that it is not that when you go into a dimension of using your sensory system to operate in the physical world, that you are going into another world. You are in fact having the same experience. But this notion that this physical world can only be visited by being in this physical body is wrong. That the sensory system operates independently. I also found other interesting things. That this physical body thinks it can use senses not because of the organs planted in this body, but because of those senses which exist independent of the body. Which means if the sensory system did not exist with the self, this body would not be able to see, touch, taste or smell. When we say we are seeing with these eyes fixed in the head, in front, and we are looking at things, it looks like if we close these eyes, we don't see. If we open these eyes, we see. So these eyes must be seeing. The truth is, the other eyes, which can see without the body, are seeing even when we are seeing with these eyes. And the fact that we are confined to the body and our attention is confined to the body only makes us see so much less. Strange. When we are able to have that experience of getting away from the body and still having sensory experiences, we find that we were prisoned in a cage. Now, supposing today somebody puts us in a cage, a small metal cage, even if it's a golden cage, and we are stuck there and we can't move, we'll be horrified. We'll cry and we have lost our freedom. Won't we do it? We'll feel so constricted. We'll feel we lost our freedom. We can't move. We can't do a thing. That's precisely what has happened to us now in this body. But we don't take it like a cage because we have forgotten what freedom is, what we could do if we were free from this cage. This is like a prison. This strange experience comes to us when we are able to experience our self, not restricted by the physical body. How do we do it? When we withdraw our attention sufficiently to the third eye center and become unconscious of the body, we can walk out and see anything we like, anywhere we like. Don't confuse this experience with the so-called out-of-body experiences from the heart center linked with this silver cord which might snap and make you die. Don't confuse with that. When you have a psychic experience or an energy experience from the chakras, which gives you a feeling that you are away from the body, it's the same. It's still being used through the imaginative process. But that is so closely linked with the energy of the physical body that you can't go too far. In one of the conferences where many psychics were comparing their notes about out-of-body experiences, I heard horrifying stories. One said that he went and tried to go out and the silver cord was behind and it got entangled in the revolving door. He didn't know how to get out. One lady said she got trapped in the washing machine and didn't know how to get out. I'm not talking of that kind of experience. I am talking of a very simple, natural truth which we can all find, that our sensory system, our ability to see, hear, taste, touch, smell, all these senses that are operating, which seem to be operating through the body, physical body, are in fact operating because of consciousness using a different apparatus. We call it a light body or a astral body or ethereal body or a non-physical body. You can give it any name, but that is using this body now and making this body function. In other words, when we say we are born in the physical body, what we mean is that that part of ourself has now occupied a physical mass and we start having our experiences with this physical mass. When we say we die, this body is left behind and we continue with the rest of the package of the astral body with its mind and soul, all combined. People say the soul comes into the body and goes away. Soul doesn't come into the body and go away. It's the astral body that comes into this body and goes away. Birth is the entry of the astral body into new physical lump, and death is the exit of the astral body from this physical lump. And in between, we are tied down by the ropes and the restrictions of the physical system. And therefore, we cry and we howl and we have so much limitation on our freedom in every way. Limitation on the use of our senses because we are in the physical body. This truth is not philosophical truth. It's experiential. Anybody who has withdrawn attention to the third eye center and had freedom from the physical body, freedom and put attention, sufficient attention into the so-called imaginative self, can fly wherever one likes without restriction. There are other many beautiful experiences too. If you want to fly further away than London or New York or India or someplace, if you want to fly to the galaxies, want to fly into new dimensions, it's even more beautiful. Some people get so interested, they spend years on the spiritual path exploring this. Sometimes masters have a hard time with people who are very curious. They put a blinder on their eyes, so they don't see too much till they can reach the stage of love and then come back and have these views. But in the stage which we call the astral stage of experience, it has been called astral because of the skies that open up, since there's no gravity. In the physical body, there is gravity that pulls us, always. Every physical body is affected by gravity, and even though we may be weightless in space, we create conditions of gravity to survive in physical systems. But the light body, which is freedom from this body, does not have any gravity. An easy way to imagine it, just for the sake of imagining, is take it like an imaginary body. Supposing you had an imaginary body, would it have any weight? Oh, whatever shape you give it, it will have no weight. So one of the characteristics is weightlessness. The second characteristic of the imaginary body is If you imagine a body, it doesn't matter whether there's darkness or light, you are still there. So the astral body, or the body that you find your form in, your own form, when you see it, other than this physical form, is self-illuminated. It is lighted up. It's called radiant. Why it's called radiant? Because even if you put the lights off, you can still see each other. It is not based upon outside light falling on it before you can see it. Therefore, when you are using the astral eyes after this out-of-body experience and looking at this world, you can see in darkness as well as in light. Because everything will have its own light. It shines. So people who have had that experience see that everything shines up. Even this desk, the table, the glass, all the things that are considered physical things here can be seen in their other form. And then other information that you get, or knowledge that you get, not information, knowledge. What we were talking of enlightenment, the enlightenment gives us this knowledge. Automatically, by being in that state, you find that everything that we have made in this physical world with our will, human endeavor, is actually being copied from what exists there. There's nothing that we create or invent here which is not already there. When we say this is coming from a world of ideas, people talk of ideas. I had a strange idea and I'm going to put it into practice. This idea is automatically, even in the physical world, coming from that astral. There is no other place from it where you can draw it. So the whole of this creation, the whole of this inspiration, inspired people, people with ideas, people, creative people, they are pulling everything from the same source. So when you vacate this body and have that experience, you can see the source of all that has happened. It is that world, that astral world, that ethereal world, that real world. Remember that this is just the beginning of the experiment. The amount of attention will determine what experience you are having. If the amount of attention is more than 51% in the physical body, this will continue to be real. When the amount of attention in the ethereal astral body is more than 51%, that will become real, this will become unreal.